Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Anglo-Omani Society in its annual meeting discusses tourism, marketing and industrial projects in the Sultanate. An airstrike kills several civilians in one of the last holdouts of the Daesh group in Syria's eastern province of Deir ez-Zor. During his visit to Britain, US President Donald Trump says the relations between both countries are very strong. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Emmanuel Macron of France on his country's National Day. The Anglo-Omani Society in its annual meeting discussed tourism, marketing and industrial projects in the Sultanate. It also celebrated the reception of His Highness Sayyid Haytham bin Tariq Al Said, Minister of Heritage and Culture, and Prince Andrew, Duke of York, in London. The annual meeting came to stress on the deep relations between the Sultanate and United Kingdom. During the meeting, Prince Andrew hailed the good relations with the Sultanate, pointing out the success achieved by both countries during the past decades, as well as the necessity to enhance economic cooperation. The Ministry of Tourism discussed with the British investors the future visions of the tourism sector, the process of activation and development of Sohar Port, as well as the huge industrial projects. In addition, they also discussed the success achieved by Oman aviation sector, while also focusing on the Touristic Strategy 2040. An airstrike has killed 30 civilians in one of the last holdouts of the Daesh group in Syria's eastern province of Deir ez-Zor. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said today the raid hit a gathering of civilians at an ice factory near the village of Al-Susa near the Iraqi border. State news agency Sana reported the strike last night, saying that more than 30 civilians were killed and accusing the US-led coalition. The observatory said it was not immediately clear if the strike was carried out by an Iraqi plane or by one of the US-led coalition fighting Daesh. A suicide bomber hit a campaign convoy in southwestern Pakistan, killing 27 people in the second election-related attack today, amid tensions over ousted Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's return ahead of July 25th elections. A senior police official said the bomber attacked the convoy of Baluchistan Provincial Assembly candidate Siraj Raisani. Pakistan's caretaker government launched a crackdown on political gatherings today as Sharif, who was ousted by the Supreme Court last year and convicted in absentia of corruption a week ago, flew back to rally his party ahead of the general elections. Earlier in the day, a bomb blast killed 4 people in the northern town of Banu, where it struck the campaign convoy of Akram Khan Durrani, an ally of Sharif's party. South Korean President Moon Jae-in today urged US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to try harder to achieve a breakthrough in their nuclear negotiations. Moon said at a forum in Singapore that Trump and Kim would face the stern judgment of the international community if their promises on denuclearization weren't kept. Follow-up talks between US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and North Korean senior officials have got off to a rocky start, with Pyongyang accusing Washington of making unilateral and gangster-like demands. Moon said both leaders have made a promise in front of the international community, so while there could be twists and turns during the working-level negotiations, saying that the leaders ultimately will be able to keep their promise. President Donald Trump said today that he had a very strong relationship with British Prime Minister Theresa May, having earlier scorned her Brexit strategy, which he said had probably killed off hope for a future US-British trade deal. In an interview published just hours before he was due to have lunch with May and tea with Queen Elizabeth today, Trump chided the very unfortunate results of the Prime Minister's strategy for negotiating Britain's departure from the European Union. Trump also heaped praise on Boris Johnson, who resigned as Foreign Secretary this week, along with Brexit Secretary David Davis, in protest at May's strategy. Trump said Johnson would be a great Prime Minister. No sitting US president has ever made such biting public criticism of a British Prime Minister while visiting, and his comments undermined May in her party, her country, and abroad. While Trump's trip was not a full state visit, he has been given red carpet treatment, including marching military bands. He is scheduled to have tea with Queen Elizabeth at Windsor Castle, where her grandson Prince Harry married US actress Meghan Markle in May. For decades, China was the world's largest importer of waste, but that changed at the start of 2018 when Beijing drastically reduced the types of recyclables from entering its borders, forcing rubbish exporters like the US to rethink their approach. Here is a report.
Americans generate over 250 million tons of waste every year. Around 30% of that is sorted, cleaned and reprocessed in recycling plants like this one for the Washington, D.C. area. The scrap is then compacted into bales and sold on. At the market's peak, a ton of recyclable paper was worth $90. Today, the price is $0.
The municipalities today are, in most cases, paying us a fee to perform the recycling service for them because the value of the material isn't the same as it was 2 years ago.
The US recycling industry exported almost $18 billion worth of scrap last year. But after decades as the dumping ground for more than half of the world's trash, China has banned most types of low-grade recycling products this year, leaving scrap to pile up and processors scrambling to find alternatives.
We have a lot of surplus that's building up in our warehouses, at waste handling facilities, and we're, frantically trying to find new markets to handle these materials.
Environmental activists think that countries should take this opportunity to rethink how to simply reduce the amount they throw away.
Still to come in our news bulletin. The Office of the Public Authority for Radio and Television in Buraymi organizes a number of workshops for school students.
عبق فاح بين جنباتها فنفثت سلاما برائحة لبانها. حلقت عاليا نحو السماء فنقشت بأبجدياتها تاريخا جميلا، وبكرمها أمست مضربا للأمثال. مهرجان صلالة السياحي 2018 من 10 من يوليو إلى 25 من أغسطس.
Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. A dialysis unit was inaugurated at Jaein Hospital in the Governorate of Al-Wusta. The new unit included one clinic with 2 beds and 2 dialysis machines as the first phase. A specialized cadre is assigned to undertake the dialysis process. The unit will be ready for receiving patients starting from the coming week, 3 days a week with morning and evening shifts. Follow-up and Coordination Committee affiliated to the Directorate General of Health Services in the Governorate of Al-Wusta held its second meeting of the year. The meeting discussed results of recommendations of the site visits from the first meeting, in addition to discuss health indicators of the Governorate during the previous year and to follow them up. It also reviewed what has been implemented in the current year and discussed challenges and obstacles facing the health sector in the governorate. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Dr. Darwish bin Saif Al-Harbi, Undersecretary of the Ministry of Health for Administrative and Financial Affairs. Embodying social partnership and instilling social and voluntary work in local society, the 5th Social Week in the Governorate of Dakhiliya was concluded. The events included holding working camps through awareness and educational programs. During the conclusion ceremony, a dialogue session was held about the traffic awareness, which included social and psychological effects due to traffic accidents, reasons of the accidents, in addition to means of limiting them. The Office of the Public Authority for Radio and Television in the Governorate of Buraymi presented a number of workshops for school students within the summer programs that are held in a number of summer centres. They came within the framework of partnership among various government, private and civil institutions. The students during the workshops were acquainted with the work process in the media field, such as montage, news editing and coverage of events. The participants were given the opportunity to experience a number of roles such as photography and being a reporter. And now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of Dhofar and its nearby mountains, with chances of intermittent drizzle. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with chances of cloud accumulation and scattered rainfall over the Hajar Mountains. Low clouds and fog late at night and early morning are expected over the coasts of the Arabian Sea and Sea of Oman. Winds will be southwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Anglo-Omani Society in its annual meeting discusses tourism, marketing and industrial projects in the Sultanate. An airstrike kills several civilians in one of the last holdouts of the Daesh group in Syria's eastern province of Deir ez-Zor. And during his visit to Britain, US President Donald Trump says the relations between both countries are very strong. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.
فكثيرة هي الأسباب التي تحدد وجهتنا لقضاء إجازة الصيف، لكن الجميع يتفق أن الطبيعة الخلابة ودرجات الحرارة المنخفضة هي الأولى. هنا ظفار تستقبلك برذاذها المنعش وجوها الآسر، تمتزج بين سحر شلالاتها وتدفق عيونها، تحدك شواطئها وجبالها الساحرة لتجعل من رحلتك الصيفية يوماً لا ينسى. تفاصيل الخريف تجدونها في برنامج من صلالة، والذي يطل عليكم في الأوقات التالية.
عبق فاح بين جنباتها، فنفثت سلاما برائحة لبانها. حلقت عاليا نحو السماء، فنقشت بأبجدياتها تاريخا جميلا، وبكرمها أمست مضربا للأمثال. مهرجان صلالة السياحي 2018 من 10 يوليو إلى 25 أغسطس.